April 12, 1955, America rejoiced as an age of fear had finally come to an end. A disease called poliomyelitis that had plagued the nation since the early 20th century had been defeated. After killing thousands and striking fear and panic into the hearts of American people, polio had finally met its match in the form of a vaccine developed by Jonas Salk. Salk was seen as a hero, the man who single-handedly saved the lives of countless children. Jonas Salk was born to two Polish immigrants in New York City in October of 1914. His parents worked in sweatshops at a minimum wage to support their family. In spite of his humble upbringing, Salk was a bright child and an eager learner. He excelled in school, and at the age of 15, he entered the City College of New York, after which he attended New York University for medical school. There, he worked with a prominent doctor, Dr. Thomas Francis Jr., with whom he developed a strong friendship. After graduating from NYU, Salk studied virology at the University of Michigan under Dr. Francis. Serving as medical researchers for the Army during World War II, Salk and Francis studied the influenza virus and eventually discovered a vaccine for it. The established idea for creating a vaccine was to use the weakened strain of the live virus. The mere presence of the weakened strain would simulate the actual virus without replicating its deadly consequences. Thinking that it was under attack, the body would create antibodies to guard against the disease. However, because the vaccine used is a live virus, it could potentially become infectious. With this in mind, Salk had the idea to use the killed or inactivated virus in the vaccine, which removed any chance of weakened live virus mutating and becoming as virulent as the original. The influenza vaccine was a huge success and saved many lives during the war. Soon after, Salk was offered the position at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine and was able to establish his own lab. While Salk and his family became accustomed to their life in Pittsburgh, polio epidemics were crippling the nation. According to a book called A Paralyzing Fear, The Triumph Over Polio in America, polio epidemics were second only to the atomic bomb in surveys of what Americans feared most. Polio, or infantile paralysis, was the disease that had haunted mankind through the centuries. It entered the body through the mouth and then spread to several locations in the body through the bloodstream. Its first symptoms were relatively mild: fever, headache, and vomiting. In most cases, the disease progressed no further, but if the virus then re-entered the bloodstream, it attacked the nervous system and caused paralysis, or even death. By 1952, 65,000 people in America were affected by the virus. Salk joined the search for a vaccine against polio. Relying on his past experience with the flu vaccine, he used his killed virus technique to create a polio vaccination. To prepare an inactivated vaccine, he placed the virus in formaldehyde, a chemical that killed the virus but would leave it potent enough to trigger the body's immune system. When Salk's vaccine was finally ready, he declared that he and his family would be some of the first volunteers to be inoculated with this vaccine. A year later, the government announced the success of Salk's vaccine. Jonas Salk's hard work and perseverance had paid off. His successful vaccine was a major triumph for the millions of Americans across the country. He alone had developed a vaccine that provided immunity to a disease that had terrorized the nation for decades. Moreover, he refused to patent the vaccine, declaring, "How can you patent the sun?" indicating that this vaccine belonged to humanity. This selfless act allowed for the vaccine to be produced immediately and helped curb its costs because there was no need to pay royalties to its inventor. Within 6 years, polio cases in America were reduced by 95%. Unlike many people in the scientific community, Salk sought out neither personal glory nor financial gain from his vaccine. He was a scientist, but above all, he was a true humanitarian. Through the tireless work of one man, children in America and around the world no longer live in fear of the deadly disease. This is Jonas Salk's legacy.